It's become clear over the weekend that they are very close. Now, a lot of these fortifications take weeks to overcome. A lot of the Ukrainian forces are running away. The Russians are going at a pace 2 or 3 times as fast as it was before. After the Ukrainians took out their best troops and their only reinforcements and put them in Kursk, of all places, okay? So there's no telling how quickly the Russians could go to the Dnieper River. Most people are saying that it might be after the election, but they have the capability of doing it before the election, in my view, and they will be sniffing the political winds to see if that plays best with whoever the candidate, whoever they want to win, if anyone.
I guess you're of the view that he's the former president, that Zelensky's position atop the government is not long-lived.
Well, he must be worried. They must be worried sick, because not only what Trump is saying is what J.D. Vance is saying. They're spelling out an agreement that Zelensky would have to move to one of his chateaus somewhere. And there's no future for him there, okay? And now the prospect of this guy coming in, Trump, I mean, that's really dynamite. And who knows what will happen here? Maybe he will. Maybe people keep shooting at him at the golf course, and he's a hands down winner. Like, it's just crazy, isn't it?
Here's President Zelensky over the weekend. This is almost delusional, but you can comment on it as you see fit. In an interview with Fareed Zakaria at CNN, cut number 1.
He afraid only one thing: no leaders, no countries, no nothing. He afraid of his society, Russian people. And if Russian people are in danger, if they don't have comfortable life, if they live without energy like our people, they will understand the price of the war, and they will be not happy with it, and they will begin to influence on him, on Putin. That's why I said, make Ukraine strong, and you will see that he will sit and negotiate.
Sounds like it's going to be one of his last interviews, but what do you think?
Well, it is delusional. He gets that stuff from people like Victoria Nuland and Blinken. Why they think Putin's going to fall or the Russians going to fall apart is beyond my imagination. Now, the important thing is that interview took place 8 days ago. Okay, I looked it up this morning. I saw that last night. Looked it up 8 days ago. So it was before all this stuff went down on Friday the 13th. Okay, before the Americans made the decision not to approve these long-range missiles. So he's whistling in the dark. But there are a couple of real good details that he revealed to Fareed Zakaria. And what he said was, in comparison with us Ukrainians, the Russians have a 12-to-1 advantage in shells. And, they're really kind of so ahead of us. What they've done now, I just made a note here, is 80% of our energy infrastructure, boom, they've knocked out. 80%, 12-to-1. My God. I mean, okay, he's appealing for Western help, but even our military is saying, striking deep within Russia is not going to change a damn thing on the forward edge of the battlefield, where the battle is taking place. And there, the Ukrainians have shot themselves in the foot by sending their best troops into Kursk, where they're all going to be captured or killed within the next 3 weeks. Okay, that's going to happen. And what are they going to do? Well, the Russians going to keep going, but as Peskov said, no, our president is very cautious, very measured. He doesn't jump to things. So he'll weigh what's going on here between now and November 5th, and he'll proceed accordingly. I suppose that he'll just keep chipping away, and it'll become obvious to everyone, perhaps even Blinken, that this is a no-win situation and that they can't make up rhetoric. They can't give Zelensky any more reason to believe that he might be able to prevail.
Here's someone who actually makes Secretary Blinken and former President Zelensky seem rational by comparison.
That could be anyone.
Watch this, cut number 7.
As for the role the Ukrainians could themselves play in stability and security in the Euro-Atlantic area, it's obvious. You know, this thanks to the heroism of the Ukrainian forces. They've been fighting for more than 2 years, almost 3 years. They are the most accomplished armed forces in the whole continent, and it's easy to see how they could play a very, very important role in peace and stability on the European continent. One of the arguments I think we should make to our American friends is if they want to take back some US troops from the European theater and save a lot of billion, Mike, then I'm sure the Ukrainians, having defeated the Russians, and there's nobody more effective at defeating the Russians than the Ukrainians, I'm sure the Ukrainians would be only too happy to backfill in Europe. Anyway, those are some of the things, some of the ways in which I think Ukraine can be a force for stability.
Right before he said that, he said he was sure that Ukraine would join the EU and NATO. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, someone give him a comb, for God's sake. You know, I'm tired of looking at this guy. Let's realize this is the same fellow who acted as an instrument of the U.S. and the U.K. going to Kiev on the 8th of April, 2022, and putting the kibosh on an agreement that would have had a ceasefire and a recognition by Ukraine that we Ukrainians will not try to become a member of NATO. There were restrictions on the armed forces of each side. It was all agreed on. It was agreed on by Arachamia, one of Zelensky's closest friends and a close friend of Putin. They were both involved in it personally. It fell apart when Boris Johnson arrived. And further proof, if further proof were needed, we have the chief Ukrainian negotiator saying that on the record. Well, Victoria Nuland, about 10 days ago, with a smirk on her face, says, yes, we discourage that. They asked, these Ukrainians, they asked for advice both internally and from people outside, and we counseled caution. We told them, no, that's not a good idea. Hello? So she's confirming that this whole thing could have ended in April of 2020, about 6 weeks after it started, for God's sake. And it was she, Boris Johnson, that clown,